sometimes, you may be programming it wrong, is that some of the common mistakes when you have issues? Is the cycle programming wrong? Is that something that you see a lot?
It is. A lot of it is generally the programming. The autoclave's going to do what you tell it to do,
Mhm.
for the most part. They're pre-programmed to do what you ask them to do. Me as a technician, when I went in, especially in the labs, I would look to see what they were doing, and then I would program the autoclave to best get the best results for the labs. And the hospitals they're pretty much cookie cutter how
Mhm.
everything runs in it. They have certain cycles. They generally just run 2 or 3 different cycles for the utensils and everything else, and they're generally pre-vac. They have scope washers now and special V Pros for a lot of their scopes, special scope washers and all that. So they're not having to do it. So almost virtually everything they run is pre-vac in the hospital. Where the research is where things get a little bit more trickier. They're running bulk water. They're running, so theirs is a lot more specialized on what they're trying to accomplish,
Mhm.
especially when they're trying to do media. How much media are you doing? Obviously, if you have this much water as
Mhm.
opposed to a 5 gallon or 5 liter, the heat up is going to be different. It's really just kind of a separate setup for them, and their requirements are a little bit more stringent too, what they're trying to achieve. Oh, I love the research. It was definitely a challenge. It was, yeah.
Well,
And
no.
and of course, well, one of the problems too with a lot of the research is there's a lot of turnover in technicians, Pat. You've
Mhm.
been to we've been to Stanford, Yale,
Mhm.
we've been to Tufts. I haven't been to Tufts, but University of Florida. And
Mhm.
you get in there, and a lot of the people are students that come in
Mhm.
and they're hired on. So as they graduate, they move on. So you get a big turnover in technicians, and trying to keep them up to speed on what needs to be done is kind of a challenge for them.
No,
It really is. Yep.
no, and you speak, and you're speaking on something that's good. That's a very good point. Safety, is a big part of our mission. And so I want to hit on a few things that we went over the other day, and I'm going to hit on a topic. These were things that you had kind of seen in the industry, and then I'll allow you to elaborate a little bit on them. So the one
Sure.
thing that we talked about the other day was overloading the chamber. Is that something?
Oh,
Mhm.
I love those. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, one of the problems I've seen is when the autoclave failed, and of course these are the dragons you cannot slay. They go down, they break for one reason or another. And then they get backed up on their waste. And when they do that, I've opened up chambers with waste in it that's failed, and they have absolutely overloaded it. And
Mhm.
then when you take these lovely little bags, because the thing of it is nobody wants to sit there. Trash is backing up.
Mhm.
You start throwing. You literally, you seal these things up, and they're supposed to leave them partially open. Um, some of them put tubes in them. Some of them tie them off and clip them. I've actually seen, Pat, where I just went to a facility. They're all wrapped up. They're tight. Steam can't penetrate. Doesn't matter whether you run a pre-vac liquid, it's not penetrating this thing. You have to heat that chamber up on the inside here, and then it has to reheat this. And this is one of the reasons why they run. People are running 3, 4, 5 hour cycles. And then I ran several tests, Pat, and come to find out, even running 3, 4 hours, depending on the content, you're not always getting the kill. And especially when you do that, there's no better insulator than plastic. Then I would literally watch them stack bag on top of bag on top of another bag. So the middle bag, whatever was in it, it's not even getting any heat at all. It's extraordinarily insulated,
Wow.
and then, yeah, and the whole idea is to make sure. But people are people, Pat. If it's stacking up, you're going to put as much in as you think you can get away with, and then you just stick it in and say, well, it was autoclaved. But I'm going to throw a little pitch in here, but you can see these are stackable. I can fill these completely up. My little Steris V120, I can get 4 of these and 3 of the 600s. You can't overload it. I ran waste with these stacked in there, fully packed, got the kill on them on 3 different runs. It won't matter. Where this, it matters. You can't do that. You just can't stack them on top. Where this is, airtight and permeable. But once the valve opens up, each one of these acts as its own little chamber. So when the steam and heat come in, it's not in. This one's not insulated by this, and vice versa. They all are independent, so they'll independently heat up on the inside. So now your technicians cannot overload that waste. You can, if you stack bags this high and this tight, Pat, it would you'd never get the kill on it. It wouldn't work. And even if you run it 4 or 5 hours. This I'm running on a regular cycle. I ran my waste and my cycle time, my sterilization time. The whole cycle was 52 minutes on this particular run, fully loaded. It didn't matter. Where I run it with bags for 4 hours and not gotten a kill.